with the Autism Transition Home Life. And we are going live again. Had some technical difficulty. I'm not going to be on for so long, but we have challenges. Unfortunately, the cable company came in and said that our system was down for about 4 hours, and which restricted me for being online. So I had to pivot, as what we do. We were going to pivot. I panicked a little bit, but I had to pivot in the meantime. So I know that I had it scheduled from 11:15 to noon. So I have some questions. So the topic that we were looking at today for autism transition planning is SSI. Just a little bit about my background. It is I retired out of the military. My son is now 18, and we are in that process of guardianship, transitioning into adulthood, and there's so many unknowns that were happening that we want to we learned a lot. We learned a lot along the way, and I want to show and help others to be able to allow them to share some knowledge with me, what their concerns are, and to share, and for me to share some knowledge with them so I can do that here. So that's why I started the channel. That's why we are here sharing the topics of now SSI. So, a lot of information that I've learned with other families that are raising children with autism is SSI. So, again, I retired out of the military, and I retired because I knew that I had to spend time with my son. My husband uh, worked full time, and I worked from home and to support the needs of him. And it's hard. It's very, very hard trying to support him and trying to balance life and trying to maintain the household. It's a balance, and even at 18, it still can be a train wreck at days. So, building this community is important so I can be able to help others in this process and to encourage you and to hear you and help you, give you some hope that you can get out of this situation, whatever the obstacle may be. So, again, SSI, Social Security, is something that is a topic that is, it came on my radar because one, we were going through it with our son. So it's a benefit that helps them. Now that they are 18, they are a citizen. They're legally, although we're going to be a guardian for them, but they're a young adult now. So now, as a young adult, we have to make sure that our child who looks seems like this big forever but is a young adult, that we have to make sure that we plan accordingly and to have his world set up to be however financially in the future of how to be successful. And SSI is a reality. It's going to be part of that puzzle piece to help him be that to help support him in his as a resource for him. So our community is growing. I'm been on Instagram a lot, and our community is growing really fast there, and in YouTube. Love being on here, and as we're finding families that have these questions. So I did reach out to our community, and I was able to get some feedback about what questions that do they have about SSI. And one is what the first question that I receive is, can my child with autism get SSI? So just to give you a little bit of background, I am not I do not work for the federal government. So I do not work for the county or any SSI. Any of the information that I'm sharing is based upon research or that I have learned from another parent or that I have been through myself. So just know that, full disclosure, from my perspective, I will answer the questions from what I have observed, and I will report that back to you and learn that to you or share that with you from what I have learned. So, can my child get with autism get SSI? So, I would say many parents aren't sure of what their diagnosis are. So, and if that qualifies alone. So, I know that when we went through the process, you have to apply and then they have to do an interview. But when we went through the process, one of the pieces that you have to go through is the department has to qualify you to receive the benefit. So I believe it was like the disability unit. So in that department, they had to receive documentation from his care manager, his life plan. He had to receive information. They had to receive information from his school, his reports, his IEP, his behavioral plans. So they had to receive those documents in order to make a determination to find out if he's disabled, and along with the documents from the primary doctor and any other supporting doctors that supported that diagnosis as well. So it's when you say, can my child with autism get the SSI? It depends on what documentation that you have that can support the diagnoses of autism, and then that you can submit those documents, and then at Social Security, they're going to at that department, they're going to review that and make that determination. What age should I apply for SSI? So parents often ask that question, should I wait until 18 or should I wait until or I can do it earlier? So I learned probably when our son was about 10 years old. I remember he was in elementary school, and I learned that he could be eligible for SSI. So I applied, and at that time I was rejected because sorry, I was rejected. I was denied. So I was his the application was denied because he was because our income. So that's what it was. They denied us based upon our income at that time. So that was when he was younger and before 18. So now that he's 18, that's a different ball game. So I would say if you're trying to apply for SSI and they're younger than 18, then it's determined by your income. So the income levels, I'm not sure, but I can take that note and find out about. You want to take that note? The income levels. So and find that out for you. So again, they'll determine what they'll do an application. So I had to submit an application at that time and they rejected it. So this time the application went in and they were able to review it, and so it was a little bit different this time now that he's 18. Our next question is, how much money does SSI pay? So depending on the child before 18, it's different than what I was learning for. So there's a family member, not a family member, but family that is receiving SSI, but the benefit is, I believe it's like a couple hundred dollars a month. And so that's before 18. So now that that child at 18, the maximum benefit actually it was about $900, and I'll definitely put that out what the maximum benefit is. So it's about $900 for the maximum benefit. And so that would be based upon the application, your household, what's the contributions and what are the child is contributing to the household and things like that. So it determines based upon your application. But I believe at over 18, the maximum benefit would be over it's over $900. So that's and you can see that on their ssa.gov website as well. Our next question is, will my income stop my child from getting SSI? So again, depending on when are you applying for SSI for your child? Is a child younger than 18? If younger than 18, like I said, I went through the process and our income prevented him from obtaining SSI benefits. So I know that there's a different, like I said, the household. I'll look at the income levels for the household and I will definitely report that back to you. But at 18, they're looking at you as the child is now an adult. So as a young adult, that's a different category. So you're going to be going to submit an application and it's going to look different than where it was before 18. So will my income actually it's got that one. So our last question that I have is what papers do I need to apply? So again, the you would have for the papers that are required to that you would need to apply those the documentations you would need an application. So I did the application I actually contacted them. I'm not always good online. As you see, it was hard just getting online just to do a live video, and I was trying to stream for Facebook and YouTube, and it totally didn't work. So, I called SSA myself. I called Social Security Department and I asked them if they could help me over the phone and pretty much to get the process started. And it started with an application over the phone. They asked some questions about our son. They asked about his disability. They asked where his school is. So they got some initial background information about the about for him to have the application, to do the initial, to set up the schedule to complete the application. So then once that happened, so I called like it was, probably like it was like the week after his birthday. So I called the week after his birthday, and then after that, it was like a couple weeks after we would get an appointment. So that appointment was via phone. So I did that via phone. So it was a much more thorough um it was a much more thorough actually backtrack. We did it through the phone. We did the initial application on the phone, and then they submitted, let us know where we to report for the application to do in person. So that one was an in-person application, and that one was, I wanted to make sure my son doesn't do well with just sitting and waiting. So I'm not sure, every child is different, but it's hard for my son to sit and wait during an office visit. So thankfully, we were able to, thank God that we were able to have that appointment. I believe it was early in the day, so it was good for him. That was good timing for him. And he was able to go in, sit, and he had to write. He had to do his signature. He had to, they asked him questions, but our son needs us as his parents, as his guardians, to be able to communicate on his behalf. So we were able to do that, but he is pretty much applying on his own and we are there to support him. So, but I provided the documentation that he has, the supporting documentation that they needed. I brought, although with Social Security, I brought his card down, his Social Security card, brought his birth certificate. I brought documents in just so just in case if they ask, I was better prepared than not be prepared. So I brought a lot of his personal documentation. I brought some of his records just in case if he needed to, if they still had questions and they didn't have it in his file. So I brought that information with me. But I had received it, gotten it to them, and he was able to do an initial application. One tip that I recommend while you're there is to do your payee application. So when you're there and they're going to take the application for on his behalf or your child's behalf, the payee rep is the person that is going to receive the benefit in the bank account because they can't do it on their own. There's someone that has to be there to manage the account. So he can't manage anything financially. We're the ones that are managing for him on his behalf. So you have to set up a pay rep account. So make sure my recommendation, I mean it's up to you, but my recommendation
Mhm,
is do the payee rep application right then and there. So it's a step
mhm,
that you don't have to delay after the fact. It doesn't it stop instead of waiting for the documents to come, it's just another step that you have to submit after the fact. So when you're there and as you're with your son or child that's there, it's just a stop. It helps prevent so many stops to get back down and forth to the building. So I recommend doing your payee rep application there while you're on while you already initially did the application. So again, I am thankful that I was able just to jump on and share some information about the SSI disability program and my perspective. And I hopefully it helps you. And I'm thankful for that for your patience. And again, check the link in my bio. There's a link, there's 6 steps that we go through about what is required to prepare your child for before 18. So we talk about guardianship, we talked about the finances, we talk about housing. Are the steps to prepare them for by the time 18? My goal is again to try to help parents to prevent them from waiting too long to 18 like I did. So I'm here for you. Go to the link in my bio, get the guide, and we can start from there. So keep a lookout for our notifications, subscribe to the channels, uh, follow our channels, and keep a lookout for our next live. I usually put them out and ask for questions. So I know that if you have any questions, you can get them to me and I would do some research and provide some insight of what I have learned along the way. Again, I'm Denise Sherman, and it's a pleasure chatting with you and connecting with you and answering your questions today. I hope you have a fabulous day.